Okay, lesson 83 is the lesson we weren't able to get to in class about coin problems. And so you're going to be having some problems in your lessons that are about coins. And the two pieces of information they're going to be giving you are about how many coins you have, how many actual pieces of metal there are, and then the value of those coins. And so you're going to be writing two equations for these problems, and then you'll be able to solve that system of equations by elimination or substitution. So when we have the same number of independent equations as we have unknowns, we will be able to solve for all of the unknowns. That just means if you have two equations and two unknowns, you can solve for all the unknowns. If you have three equations and three unknowns, you can solve for all the equations. As long as you have enough equations, you can solve for any number of unknowns. But right now, we're just going to be working with two equations and two unknowns. So in coin problems, we'll be working with two equations with two unknowns. As we read the problems, each one will give us a statement about the number of coins, so quantity, the number of coins, and another statement about the value of those coins. We will turn the two statements into two equations and then solve by substitution or elimination. So your book uses subscripted variables for these problems. I will just be using regular variables, but if you want to use the subscripted variables like n sub n and n sub d and stuff like that, you can. All right, so here's an example that we're going to start working on. Okay, so we have this problem. Jack and Betty have 28 coins that are nickels and dimes. If the value of the coins is $1.95, how many coins of each type do they have? All right, so we have this equation about the number of coins. There are 28 coins, so just n, which is the nickels, plus d, which is the dimes, the number of each one. If you add those up, you get 28. And then the equation about the value of the coins, for every nickel, you've got 5 cents. So the amount of money you have in nickels is going to be 5n. 5 times the number of nickels. So like if you have 6 nickels and you want to know how much money that's worth, you would say 6 times 5. You would multiply by 5 because that's how much each nickel is worth. So that would be 30 cents. So here, anytime you know the number of coins, all you have to do is multiply by the value of that coin, in this case 5 cents, to find out how much all those coins are worth. All right, so 5n is the value of the nickels, and 10d is the value of the dimes, because there are d dimes, and each one is worth 10 cents, so that makes a total of 10d cents. So this equation is about the number of coins. This equation is about the value of the coins, how many cents you're talking about. All right, so that is the equation that we have, and we need to solve it for n and d. And like I said, in your book, they would call the number of nickels n sub n and the number of dimes n sub d. So they would use subscripted variables for that. I'm just using n for nickels and d for dimes. N for the number of nickels and d for the number of dimes. And you can do it, if you want to use subscripted variables, you can. But I just do it this way because I don't think there's any way to confuse what we're talking about. N is the number of nickels and d is the number of dimes. All right, so you're going to solve this system of equations. The quickest way to do that would be to use elimination, I would think. So you're going to multiply that top equation by -5 so that you can cancel out the n's. You could multiply it by -10 to cancel out the d's, but I'm going to do it this way. So if I multiply that whole first equation through by -5, I get -5n plus -5d equals -5 times 28, which is -140. All right, and the second equation is not going to change. It's just 5n plus 10d is 195. So now I'm going to add those two equations together. -5n plus 5n makes 0. -5d plus 10d is going to be 5d. And then -140 plus 195 is going to give me 55. So if I divide both sides by 5, that will cancel, and I'll get D equals 11. So there are 11 dimes. And then I can go back to the first equation, which is the simplest one, and put in 11 for D. So if D is 11, they have to add up to 28 total coins. So that means that the nickels will be 28 minus 11. And so that will be 17 nickels. All right. So this is how we do every single coin problem, the same exact way. So down here you've got another example, and you have that Ming has $4.45 in quarters and dimes. She has 8 more quarters than dimes. How many coins of each type does she have? All right, well, we write our two equations. We have an equation about the number of coins. All right, so this sentence right here is about how many coins she has. It just tells us she has 8 more quarters than dimes. And what that means is that the number of quarters, which I'm going to call Q, is 8 more than the number of dimes. The number of quarters she has is 8 more than dimes, the dimes. So that's how you would write that. And then in the second equation, this equation is about the value of the coins, and we write it exactly the same way we did up here in the problem before. Each quarter's worth 25 cents, so the value of the quarters I've got is 25Q, and then dimes are worth 10 cents, so the value of the dimes I have is going to be 10D, and that adds up to $4.45, which we'll just write as 445 cents because we've written everything in cents, 25 cents, 10 cents, and so now we're going to write 445 cents. All right, this time it looks a little bit easier to use substitution because the first equation is already solved for Q. So since Q equals 8 plus D, I'm going to substitute that into the second equation for Q. So 25 times Q, which is 8 plus D, plus 10D equals 445. So now I distribute the 25. So 25 times 8 is 200 plus 25D plus 10D equals 445. Now you can subtract 200 on both sides, and you have 25D plus 10D, which is 35D, equals 245. And then you just need to divide both sides by 35. So D equals 245 divided by 35. And that means that D is going to be, let's see, 7 times 5, 3, 15, no, that's not right. Wait, yes, 7, 21 plus 3 is 24. Yeah, right. So 7 dimes. And then if you go back to the first equation, it says that the number of quarters is 8 more than the number of dimes. So the quarters must be 7 plus 8, which would be 15. And then before you move on and you know, go on to the next thing, check your answer. We should have done that in the one before. Go back and check your answer. The problem says that you got $4.45. Well, check on it. You've got 15 quarters, right? There's 4 quarters and $1. So that means you've got $3.75 there. So $3.75, and then 7 more dimes, that's 70 more cents. So $3.75 plus 70 cents, that's going to be $4.45. So that works, and that is the answer to that problem. So any kind of problem like this, especially 2 equations and 2 unknowns, you might make a mistake. Go ahead and check your answer in the original problem to make sure that it makes sense and that it's correct. Don't just assume that you're not going to make any mistakes. All right, so now We've got one more problem. Orlando has a hoard of 22 nickels and dimes whose value is $1.35. How many coins of each type did he have? All right, well, again, you've got an information about how many coins you have. So that's one equation, an equation of the number of coins. So the number of nickels plus the number of dimes is 22. Then you have an equation about the value of the coins. Each nickel is worth 5 cents, so the value of the nickels is 5N. Each dime is worth 10 cents, so the value of the dimes is 10D. And the problem says that that's a total of $1.35, which is 135 cents. And since we have a 5 cents here, 10 cents here, everything's in cents. Okay, so again, on this one, it's easier to use elimination. So I would multiply that first equation on both sides by -5. So that first equation becomes -5N plus -5D equals -110. Second equation doesn't change. It's just 5N plus 10D equals 135. And then we are going to add that up. -5N plus +5N is just going to be 0. And then -5D plus 10D is going to be 5D. -110 plus 135 is 25. Divide both sides by 5, and you get D equals 5. So 5 dimes. And then to figure out how many nickels, go back and remember that there are 22 coins altogether. So the nickels must be 22 minus 5, which is just going to be 17 nickels. Okay, so again, you can check. This is supposed to be $1.35. 50 cents worth of dimes, so 50 cents for the dimes, plus you've got 17 nickels. All right, so that's 50 plus 35, that's 85 cents. And if you add that up, that is $1.35. All right, so you've got the value correct. If you add 17 and 5, you get 22. You've got the number correct, so you know that there are 5 dimes and 17 nickels. So for every coin problem, this is exactly what you do. The same 2 equations every time. An equation about the number of coins and an equation about the value of the coins.